Hey everyone, Dave G, Electric Reviews. It's after work on a Friday, and the one thing I've been wanting to get out for a week or two is the DNA board swap on the RX200. So I'm going to go ahead and dismantle this, show you what tools you're going to need, what else you're going to need to do specifically with these buttons and this window, and I'll show you the wiring and make it pretty easy on you if you want to swap out a DNA. One thing you might want to ask yourself is, why would I want to swap out the RX board with the DNA board? Well, the DNA board is going to give you a lot more choices as far as the RX board. I mean, the RX board can pretty much do anything the DNA board can do, except you're going to have software with the DNA where you can fine-tune just about everything. So let's go to the down and dirty. I'll show you the tools and we'll start dismantling this puppy. Alright, so obviously we're going to need the unit we'll be working on. We'll need some rosin core solder. We'll need a good, nice and tiny Phillips head screwdriver. Pliers, of course. We'll need this Torx. We'll need a cutting wheel and preferably a Dremel. You could also just use a file, but this worked really well for how I used it. And I don't know what the fuck this is. Oh, you don't need this. And we'll need a soldering iron. I'd say put that in before you start taking this apart. Get it plugged in and warmed up. We'll go ahead and pull the back off. And as you'll see, there is one screw up in here. There's one there. There's one there, one there, one there. These four here will drop this front cover off. These two up here will allow the battery sled to come out. So we'll start with these ones. As far as placement of these screws, doesn't really matter. They're all the same except for a couple of them which are gold, and you'll see those, and it's pretty obvious where those ones are going to go. Take this screw, and this last one you're going to want to hold on to your front. Now I already have the DNA in this, so I'm going to be very careful pulling it off because I do not want to mess up. You don't want to do this over something because your buttons will fall out. Alright, so that is removed. With the RX200 board, you do not have to worry about unclipping this. This is a DNA200 board, but it's basically all the connections are the same. I'm going to show you the difference. Let's just go ahead and get this battery sled out here. That one up there, and just kind of pry that negative terminal up. It's hard as fuck to do on the camera. Let's see if we can get it done though. This one here, see, has that foam piece there? Just kind of stick your shit in there and push it out of the way. There we go, it's kind of out of the way a little bit. Now that screw will probably get stuck in there. That's okay, as long as we get it unscrewed, it'll be alright. Alright, like I said, here's a gold screw. Let's go ahead and take that one off. These grounding pieces are exactly the same on the RX board. The one difference on the RX board is it has a little notch right here at the soldering point for the positive terminal. But we're going to go ahead and just ignore that for the moment. So you'll unsolder this positive. Okay. I'm not having very much luck doing it. I'll stay off of there, fucker. There we go. So that is disconnected now. Next you're going to desolder these 2 points here. Don't worry about where they go. We'll mess with that a little bit later. Alright, that's about as best as I'm getting, so just grab one of them wires. On the RX, it'll be a black and a red wire. Here we go. Fuck. Alright, so that one is off now. Get those 2 wires out of the way. You've already desoldered this one. So now we go to our Torx and we get these puppies out. You'll just kind of want to squeeze that down. Get that bit in there real good. There we go. So now battery sled. Now battery sled should just slide right out. Okay, so with the battery sled, here's what you're gonna do. There's the two wires coming out. This bottom one should be black and this top one should be red. And you don't really need to change them out. I did. I swapped them out for a little higher gauge wire. And if you do that, I'll show you here. You just solder them to the soldering point that they're originally at. So, pretty simple. Pretty easy. And what those do is they go to the oh shit, I can't remember what the name of those fucking connections are on the DNA. They go to these, and basically they just tell it what your battery's voltages are at. So, alright, we'll get that out of the way because we're done with that pretty much. Now, when you get your RX board on here, you're going to see this ground wire coming way out here and connecting somewhere about down here. Now you can just cut that wire, or you can leave it on, pull this whole thing out, and then deal with it. But eventually what you're going to end up doing is this. You're going to cut these wires down pretty goddamn short and solder them onto the ground and the out. Power, ground. That also improves this 510 spring because it's got, you know, more room to play than the RX. So there's the other gold screw right here. Now this 510 should just pop out right like that. This takes a little bit of finessing. That. There, got it. I just had to pull it off camera to get that out. So at this point you could sand. You could also use thermal compound on these two portions right there. I wouldn't do it with the paint on it, and that's going to sit up against these, kind of like a heat sink. Here is the trick. So we have your board, the RX board removed. We got our DNA board here. Here's what you're going to want to do. Take some wire and you ground, solder or bridge from this connection to here, this connection to here. Okay, that's going to put in the ground off the body, and that's going to be coming from the battery with this. Remember that gold screw that was covered up with the foam shit? There it is. Also, there is a little trick when you're putting this back in. You need to push this up to get it in the right spot and get that screw in there and screw it in. and you'll see that process, but I just wanted to show it to you while we were out. Alright, prep work. Get a little piece of plastic. I use the clear plastic case from an SD card holder, and I just cut out a little circle and just jammed it right there in the button. That works perfect. These buttons, you are going to need to file them down to about there. See if I can zoom in on this thing. And see how much there is there? Just a little bit. It's about the thickness of a credit card. Alright, so we got everything out. We got our buttons modified. Matter of fact, I'm missing a button. Oh, it's in there. Now, you'll want to take this front plate. I'm not going to remove this screen because it's a bitch to get in the right spot. And you'll have that plastic cover on it, right? Just take some, just slightly push on it from the back side, and it'll pop right up and off of there. Then you're going to see a smaller square on the inside for the opening. And what I did is I just took the Dremel wheel and just went straight along the edge and cut down, and then straight along this edge and cut down until I had it pretty much to there. Then I went on the back side with my pliers and grabbed both of those and just peeled it down like this, and it fucking snapped off. And then all I had to do was file this side with a flat file and file the edges with a round file. And that's it. That's all you got to do on the door. Okay, so we got our board done up, 1, 2, and we got 1 and 2 there. So what we're going to need to do is come from the back side and drop this in this way. Also, here's a quick thing. Notice the situation of that 510. The rounded edge is towards the back of the board. The rounded edge is towards the back of the board. Remember that. It has to be like that. So let's just finagle this fucker in there. There we go. And then you'll see the slot there at the top. That's where the 510 is going to go in. Click. And you'll see the board sits on there pretty damn nicely. Oh fuck, we forgot the button. Button does sit in there a certain way. J-bow needs to be right way up. Just drop it down in there. And try to finesse it into place. There we go. Now we'll take one of these gold screws and we'll go into this first grounding portion here. Come on, baby. Make sure all your holes are lined up. Good there. This one is off a little bit. Tighten that down. Just good tightness there. Now before you put in these other screws, we're going to want to deal with this. So to prep this, you got your wires. I want them kind of straight. This one is going to come and go at a 90-degree angle. Okay, you're probably going to need to trim it a little, but you'll see it when we're trying to get that out. And if you do them a little bit longer, these fuckers are easier to get out. Fuck's that other one at? There it is. All right. Oops. Just melted a little bit of my screwdriver there. Put a little solder on here. Push that fucker in. Ultimately, what we want is for that positive to be pushing the board up. But we want it right on the positive. Okay, I think we're good with that. Get that wire. I'm gonna have to maneuver this off camera. So you see I've positioned those wires to go right in there. Throw a little solder on my iron here. And then you'll grab a wire, push it down, solder it in. Okay, not pretty, but they're both in there. My suggestion would be to bend these down far enough to where we're not having to worry about the front plate hitting those. And that's it. Here you got to worry about this thing with the front plate regarding the window. As you can see on this one where it indents right there, yeah, I've already broke a screen in regards to that, so don't do that. We're done with the soldering. Let's go ahead and put this gold one in there. And then we can put the Torx screws in. Get those in nice and tight. And then we'll go ahead with this. Put your buttons in, get your screen on. My screen is on with just a piece of double-sided 3M clear tape. And you're going to want to flip this little door up. And the screen connection will slip in through the top. It's a little bit tricky, but it's easily done. That's it. And then you want to fold that screen on itself like that. The screen ribbon. Do not do it too harshly. There we go. Now get your 4 screws in. Careful when you're putting these in that you do each corner first. Don't tighten them too tight, because if that thing is on your screen, it will break it. Check your buttons. Buttons are good. Your screen's not going to crack, so we'll tighten her up. Check your buttons again. Buttons are good. If your buttons are not good, you're going to have to take the front off and file those buttons down a little bit more. It's kind of a little trial and error, but eventually, you know, they'll fit. I suppose it might be better to go file away more than less and not have to take the whole fucking thing apart. Then we'll get that corner screw. And this final gold one. And if you can see in there, yeah, you can see it moving a little bit. You got to push this up to get that hole in the right spot and get that screw in. Magnetic screwdriver helps quite a bit. Alright, I'm going to fight with this off camera. So there we are. Now your batteries will all go in the same way. Providing I did a decent job soldering. There we are. Back to normal. So, fuck's my back plate at? There we go. Successful, easy DNA swap. Hey, if you guys like that video, make sure and check out my other RX200 modifications. Up next, I've been thinking about doing this 510. Leave a comment, let me know if you want me to do it. If not, I'm just going to leave this mod as is and probably tear into something else. Maybe the IPv4. That's a pretty cool mod. It could use a little sprucing up. Anyway, Dave G, thanks again everybody. Vape on.